It doesn't really matter if she participates in it or not, if Amanda's just going to kill her anyway, but it isn't even clarified to the game's player that they're even playing the game, and thus couldn't possibly know the rules to said game. If anything, John just made this game for Amanda to fail so she'd get punished for sabotaging his traps. Of course, that would mean that John just straight up condemned Lynn Dinlin to death for the sake of cleverly getting rid of a failed apprentice. Now, it's later revealed that Amanda was blackmailed into purposefully failing her test by another one of John's apprentices, Hoffman, who we'll get to in a bit, but he really doesn't even need to do that as things are presented. It was such a simple test, but it's such a mess of one. It's obviously getting a failed grade. Now, what is initially pretty simple so far gets very complicated very quickly, as Amanda's test is also the site of the finale to another test going on over the course of Saw 3. This test follows grieving father Jeff, who's later revealed to be Lynn Dinlin's husband, as he engages in what will be the first in a string of what I like to call trap gauntlets. Basically, trap gauntlets are tests that consist of one or more characters going from trap to trap that usually have an overarching theme to them. They also usually irreparably shatter John Jigsaw's rules and philosophies. In Jeff's case, his trap gauntlet revolves around forgiveness. While his wife Lynn Dinlin fell into depression after her son's death and sought the comforting arms of another man, Jeff fell into a spiral of vengeance, practicing just what he would do to the man who committed the hit and run on his son in front of the mirror every night. Somehow, John found out about this and is now making him face some of the people involved in allowing the perpetrator to get away with a light sentence. All Jeff has to do is forgive them for their roles in his suffering and save them from certain death. First is the only witness of the accident, who Jeff has to save from being frozen to death by retrieving a key from behind some stone-cold pipes, something he fails to do. Then there's the judge who gave the killer a light sentence, who is under threat of drowning in pig guts. Fortunately, this time Jeff is able to save him by burning up his kid's belongings. Next is the guy who actually did the deed, who is strapped up to the rack, a trap that will twist each of his limbs off and then ultimately his head. All Jeff has to do is retrieve a key tied to a shotgun's hair trigger to save him. Instead, Jeff stupidly gets the judge killed and then forgets how keys work, getting the other guy killed too. Good job, Jeff. The finale of his test brings him face to face with John, who he has to forgive for kidnapping him and forcing him to witness so many deaths today. Jeff fails this, effectively killing everyone in that room before getting into the next movie to kick off yet another test. The reason I brushed over all these traps is because they all share the same exact issue. The person whose life is at stake has their ability to make their own choices taken away and put in the hands of someone else. Someone who seems to really want them dead, by the way. This completely contradicts the main rule that John preaches, particularly in this movie, by the way. The only exception in this gauntlet is the finale, because at least with that, John consented to putting his life in the hands of Jeff, although he did yet again take away Lynn's choice to survive by effectively allowing Jeff to kill her by proxy, so yeah, I guess all the traps in Jeff's forgiveness tour is gonna get a failing grade. But I'm only writing the tour, just the one, because it occurs to me I'm about to run out of space very quickly, especially in the game over category, so I need to keep things as concise as possible. Despite starting off okay enough, the main plotline of Saw 3 absolutely brutalizes John's philosophy around the traps. Now, you'd think that with John's death in this movie, we'd stop here since we're only looking at the traps John designed in reference to how they contradict his own rules. Oh, you sweet summer child. We're not done. Not by a long shot. If I could manifest a tear right now, I would. That's how I feel right now. Starting with Saw 4, the franchise finds ways to integrate random flashbacks to retcon things to theoretically make things make sense in the present, which gives the movies an easy way to bring back John Jigsaw. For the fourth installment, we get more of John's origin story, including his first official trap. I had previously mentioned that John's ex-wife had worked in an addict rehabilitation clinic and that it was one of the patients there who killed the unborn baby. It is that man, named Cecil, who John chose as his first ever trap participant. Cecil's trap is a simple one. His hands and feet are bolted to a chair with the lever to release him right in front of his face. All he has to do is lean forward. Granted, there's a crisscrossing array of knives between his face and the lever, but that'll only leave a few scars. Small price to pay for freedom, if you ask